Here it is, Tuesday, March 26th. Gonna try this a few more times probably. The scandal's over there in Washington, sir. Well, it'll never be over, but on the same token, it's time to step up. Send 10% of the U.S. military to the border. Put up chain link fence. You can give the order. I don't care if you have to bring them home from Colombia and get to the source of the problem. I know they tried. The military's like, we got to send them to Colombia. Get to the source of the problem because they're having a problem down there in, wherever it is, down there next to Colombia. It's been on the news so much I can't think of it. Venezuela. That's our problem, Venezuela. New Mexico's our problem. Arizona's our problem. Texas is our problem. Chain link fence, sir. Instead of $10 million a mile to put up a fence, a big bridge-style fence with big steel girders like we're building the Trump Tower or something, we're trying to stop human beings. Chain link fence, and then guard the chain link fence with soldiers to back up the Border Patrol, or increase the Border Patrol by tenfold. Raise the salary so high that everybody that's coming out of the military after 2 or 4 years wants to work for the Border Patrol. They, instead of going to the home and being a local policeman or fireman. Right now, you've already recruited the military. They've had firearms training. They already have the equipment to wear. The SWAT team style equipment. Helmets. You put up a fence. Like I've said in many other videos, like we do around our airports, our military bases, our prisons. Along the interstate we put up fence. We put concrete barriers for sound. All this other money we've spent, and we can't seem to get to the root of the problem. We could have chain link fence installed down there if you'd send 50,000, 10,000. You've sent 5,000 soldiers to back up the Border Patrol. That seems like a lot until they group up in 100 or 500 in each section so they can rotate out so 125's on duty all around the clock. That's just not really enough. We've got soldiers in bases all over the country, all over the world. Stop the problem today. That'll get the attention of the Congress and the Senate. That'll show the people just how serious this problem is, because we're seeing on the news how many thousands are coming in and being released. You have to stop it today. You can't do a roundup in this country and deport if they can just walk back in. There's not even a fence. You can take a four-wheeler ride through the desert, come to the lake and walk in? That's pathetic in 2019. We can't fence, but we're going to do 57 miles of this big wall. And then at the end it just stops. And you can walk around it. That doesn't even make logical sense. And we know you're more logical than this. The military probably has enough chain link fence in storage in a building on an Air Force base. And the poles. And the clips to hook the fence up. We've seen them putting massive amounts of that razor wire, bob wire in different places. That's nice. Some places need beefed up even more. As you're beefing that up, dispatch 100 other crews to start putting in chain link fence the whole length of the border, and then have it guarded with U.S. military soldiers. And they can rotate out. We don't want to leave them out in the desert and let them die. We have to take care of them out there. They all get Hummers to drive. Enough helicopters. Get lighting strung the whole way. Solar lighting like you had talked about on the wall. If they bust out one of our solar lights, you got to capture them guys. You can't be letting these juvenile delinquents, these drug dealers, these tattooed, the whole face is tattooed up, guys walk into America with a backpack of drugs on their back. It's been 2 years. We had a lot more faith in you than this. I hope this falls into the right hands. Let's see, this new high-tech world we live in, I have to say keywords like FEMA, the NSA. We could even go to TSA because they're going to be flying in. We don't know if our airports are secure. What a mess there. As long as your paperwork's in order. The Department of Alcohol, Firearms, Tobacco. What's that got to do with anything? There's regulating tobacco up. Wow. There's somebody that could be down on the border. Somebody that's checking on cigarette taxes. God, how many people work there? You need to readjust all your federal employees and reassign a lot of them for a month, 6 months, whatever, however long you can do it before they'll quit. To Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and Eastern California. You've declared an emergency, and the Federal Bureau of Emergencies isn't there, FEMA. They should be there in hordes. Subcontracting. Getting anybody that's a good American citizen that doesn't have warrants or wants. Supervisors, get people arguing amongst themselves more than likely. I don't know if we can coordinate closing that border or not. Obviously we can't, or else we would have. You get lights put up all the way on the border so they can see at night for somebody coming up with tin snips and cutting the chain link fence. Put up the chain link fence and guard it with sensors. You don't need these $90 million towers with all this electronics. We need some basic $1,000 chain link fence. Not million, not $100,000. It's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a chain link fence from one end to the other. And then the hot spots, you could build a bigger wall around the cities where it's going to be harder to protect your chain link fence. I like the idea of electrifying it, but that's probably crazy. With solar. We need to catch up in the new world here. A lot of us are under the impression that the UN Agenda 21 is in full effect and your hands are actually tied, that you're not allowed to be the President of the United States. And we know old school that you're allowed to be the President of the United States, and you do too. Let them take you to court, but the fence will be up. Dispatch your military 10%, if that. Bring home 10, 20,000 from Japan and Korea and Guam, and we've got them scattered all over the world. You can't bring them all home. We understand the world problem because we've stirred the hornet's nest here, and the world is a little perturbed at us, but we're looking very weak. We're not respected like you think we are. The rest of the world watches RT News and anybody else showing the crisis at the border, and it could be stopped. We're closed. The border here is closed. Go to the entrance and get in line. Period. Stop it today. This is grade school stuff we're witnessing here on TV. Sorry for having such an attitude, but you have the authority to stop them at the border, and then when you deport, it'll hold. And then you could go around and start rounding up some of these 20 million illegals that are in our country, all working under the table. Yeah, they pay taxes at Walmart when they buy stuff, but they have to work under the table unless they have a fake Social Security number. Then it could hold. And these sanctuary cities, the mayors and city council and even some governors need detained. They need to go to a FEMA re-education camp. They think that state law overrides national security. They're aiding and abetting criminals. They need picked up and detained, and somebody with some good American sense, a patriot, needs to talk to them while they're behind bars and go, did you really think you were allowed to aid and abet illegals into our country? And until they say, I'm sorry, I was manipulated or something. I don't know, my mind went, I got power hungry. I wasn't thinking properly. Kenny Jameson, thanks. Let's get after it. Get her done. Bye.